River Godavari is in spate. Northern Telangana is flooded, lakhs of people are affected. Houses are inundated, some houses are even collapsed. There's no drinking water and electricity. But the biggest affected people are the farmers who lost their crops. After some time, the water will recede, then the houses will be back to normal. But the farmers, they lost their entire crop. They need to be compensated. And times like this, we all need to work together, the state government and the central government. I'm happy that the central government actually sent in the Air Force helicopters for rescue. Times like this, we should keep politics aside and not only act responsibly, but speak in a responsible manner. I'm very happy the governor of Telangana visited this flood affected area, and so also I'm extremely happy that the Telangana CM, who normally doesn't visit or doesn't travel beyond his farmhouse and camp office, is actually gone there. So we are all very happy. Times like this, questions will come: how did it happen? Why did it happen? What are the causes and reasons? And also, what is the solution to all these problems? I think we should focus mostly on the solutions now. We can talk about the causes later. But Telangana CM spoke about a cause which baffled all of us and many people across the country. He said there was a foreign conspiracy. Some foreign enemies are cloud bursting. Clouds in Maharashtra along the Godavari basin, and that resulted in this tragedy. And I'm quite baffled with it. And before going further into it, maybe he's right, maybe he has information we don't know. Let's try to understand what is cloudburst and cloud seeding. Cloudburst and cloud seeding are two different things. Cloudburst is mostly a natural phenomenon, and cloud seeding is, of course, going on aircrafts and spraying precipitating agents like silver iodide and other salts or dry ice, which will make the cloud precipitate and result in rainfall. And cloudburst can happen only in certain places, in certain conditions, and let's try to see what those conditions are. But before that, let us see what exactly is a cloudburst. Technically, anything above 2.5 millimeters per hour is a light rain or a drizzle. That's a moderate, heavy rain, violent rain. And a cloudburst is something, it's 100 millimeters or 10 centimeters per hour of rainfall is technically classified as a cloudburst. Let's see what happens during monsoon side. We get winds from the southwest side going to the northeast, and so the clouds follow the same direction. And these clouds are monsoon winds, and monsoon clouds are heavy, humid, humidity bearing clouds, and they're actually low in altitude. If you notice in monsoon, the clouds are much low in other season. They're very low in altitude. Winds also there, and the clouds move this way. And sometimes when they are moisture-laden clouds, it does rain, but sometimes it doesn't rain. They just move on and it rains, precipitates and rains somewhere else. So if it does precipitate, of course you will get a resultant rainfall, which can be from light, moderate or heavy or violent. That's normal monsoon rains. Heavy rains very often in certain places. But let's now see what is a cloud burst. Now assume we have the same monsoon winds, but we have a mountain here blocking that. And then when the clouds come in, the clouds go here and hit the mountain. And here they can't go through the mountain, so they rise up. So the clouds stack up like this. And now, if it precipitate, it results in a cloud burst, because it results in 100 mm or more rainfall per hour. That's because here a single layer of clouds is precipitating, so there will be light or moderate or heavy rainfall. But here we have the clouds, 10 or 20 layers of clouds, sometimes going kilometers up, stacked up, and all this humidity precipitates and result in a huge and heavy rainfall, because it's this much clouds, whereas it's only this much clouds here. So that is exactly a cloudburst. But this is a cloudburst due to topology and the hills, because they got stacked up because the mountain was blocking it. That resulted in stacking up of the clouds, or clouds rising up and then precipitating, falling down as a cloudburst. Let's see what are the other conditions cloudburst can happen. There's another condition with which a cloudburst can happen, and that is a cloudburst due to orographic lift. It's the same monsoon winds and the same clouds come. But here, just go back once, but here, the same monsoon winds, but also there's some very warm area here. So the warm air is rising. There's wind in this direction and warm air rising in this direction, upwards. And it's because it's probably a desert here which is very hot, or something is here that's very warm. So there's a warm air current this way and the monsoon winds in this direction. Now when the clouds come in, they come in up till here, then they hit the warm air rising, they are also called thermals, and then the clouds rise up. And the clouds rise up vertically because in the upper atmosphere there's no wind. Only in the lower atmosphere there's this monsoon winds. The upper atmosphere very light or no winds are there. So the clouds stack up like this. Here also, once a precipitation is triggered, it falls down like a huge cloudburst. Once again, it's more than 100, can be more than 100 millimeters, and that's another reason for a cloudburst. A cloudburst due to an orographic lift. But not all orographic lifts results in cloudbursts. Let me explain how. So this also is an orographic lift as well as a southwest to northeast winds. Here what happens, the wind comes here, they see the lift, they start going up. But as they are going up, you also have the monsoon, the winds in the upper atmosphere. So they go up here and then they go along the direction of the wind. So the clouds are not really stacking up. So although there's an orographic lift, it doesn't result in a cloudburst because clouds are not really stacking up. And this results in a normal rainfall, heavy or monsoon rainfall. One more example, I'll give the same thing. Where you have a large area of orographic lifts, large area of warm air, and here the clouds come and they hit, and you have the warm air rising as well as the monsoon winds like this, both in the lower atmosphere and upper atmosphere. So the clouds come like this, there's a lift as well as a drift. So the clouds go up like this. So once again there's an orographic lift but no cloud burst. So that's what is about cloud burst. Now let's talk about what is cloud seeding. And cloud seeding is, you have the same monsoons, you have the moisture laden clouds, and but the clouds are not precipitating and translating into rainfall. They are moisture laden, but there's nothing to trigger precipitation, so rain is not falling. So the clouds will pass on and will precipitate somewhere else downwind. In that case, what they do is they send a plane with some silver iodide or potassium iodide or some salts or dry ice, different precipitating agents, and they leave a smoke or a dust of silver iodide, and the silver iodide settles in the goes into the clouds, and that triggers the precipitation. What silver iodide, tiny particles, does is it attracts the moisture and humidity onto itself and converts the moisture and humidity into droplets, and when the droplets become big, due to gravity they fall down as rainfall. But here there's no cloud burst because the clouds are not stacked up vertically, they are horizontally and they're moving, and the rainfall is not very high. It will be like normal monsoon rainfall because the clouds are not stacked up. Now let's see what happens going to the case of the mountain, what will happen. Now in this case, if you remember, the mountain is there, the clouds came in and then they started rising up. And they're just clouds, moisture laden clouds. They have not been triggered by any natural or artificial means. So they may just go up. But now if you send a plane and cloud seed them, that will trigger, and that will result in a rainfall which is not normal, which is a cloudburst range of rainfall, which is 100 millimeters or more. Same thing, we'll go to the next example. This is a cloud seeding of a column of clouds which lifted due to orographic lift. Now if you seed them, it will result in a rainfall which is more than 100 millimeters, and that's a cloudburst. So and cloudbursts normally are in highly localized area, 5-10 square kilometers. They're not spread across district or state and things like that. cloud seeding also is not done for the whole district, it's done in 10, 20, 30, even 100 square kilometers at the maximum. And that's what cloud seeding is. Now, let's look at some numbers. What is the rainfall? Of course, we saw what's a light rainfall, drizzle, and a moderate and a cloudburst. But how much water? Now, 10 millimeters of rainfall on a 1 square kilometer will translate into 10,000 cubic meters of water. That is approximately 10,000 tons of water. Seems a lot, but actually it's not. But if that's a normal 10 meter. But if a cloudburst range, 100 millimeters of rainfall on 1 square kilometer translates into 1 lakh liters, 1 lakh cubic meters or 1 lakh tons. That seems like a lot. But actually, if you look at it from the perspective of irrigation and rivers on the scale of Godavari, it only translates into 35 lakh cubic foot, or in terms of TMC, that's 1000 million cubic feet. That's usually the unit used in irrigation and reservoirs, how much reservoirs hold, TMC. 1 TMC is 1000 million cubic feet. And that irrigates about 10 to 20,000 acres of land, crops. So this 1 lakh ton translates to only 0.0035346 TMC of water. So 1 square kilometer, even in a cloudburst, will not be more than that much. But to have 1 TMC of water, there should be 100 mm rainfall in 283 square kilometers. So you have to do cloud seeding 283 square kilometers to get just 1 TMC of water. And you should have, in all these 283 square kilometers, you should have vertical columns of cloud stacker. That phenomenon never happened. Almost never. But 1 TMC doesn't make any difference to Godavari. Godavari is one of the biggest rivers in South India. Unless there's 100, 200 or 300 TMC of excess water flow, then only it floods. So to have 100 TMC excess flow there should be cloudbursts and cloud seeding in 28,300 square kilometers of cloud seeding and cloudbursts, which is an impossible phenomenon. So I don't know how our CM came to the conclusion, first of all, whether there's a foreign conspiracy behind. Why will the foreigners target our Telangana? The our Telangana CM, why they target, I really don't know. But let's assume they did. For some reason, they wanted to target Godavari or Telangana, northern Telangana. Still, it is possible, it is just not possible. And usually, cloudbursts happen for 2 or 3 hours. After that, the rainfall will subside. Let's see, even if they do, is it possible? Firstly, they can't do because cloud seeding is done only smaller areas, 10 to 100 square kilometers, not in thousands of square kilometers. And if it's done in so many thousands of square kilometers, in tens of thousands of square kilometers, for making Godavari flood in this manner, we need at least 50 aircrafts continuously. This is my rough estimate, it could be more than that. Cloud seeding. And how can 50 aircraft come from China or Pakistan and cloud seed Godavari basin and go? But maybe they have an Air Force base, secret Air Force base here. Even I don't know that. Or maybe, maybe they are coming, they are refueling, mid-air refueling, and then they are cloud seeding and going. I mean, highly impossible, but the CM had mentioned this. Maybe we need to get more information from him. Maybe he has information he's not sharing. But let's assume they did. Now, in cloud seeding, if I use up the cloud and precipitate its entire moisture content here, downwind there won't be rain. So in the overall area, the average will approximately same, a little more, maybe a few percentile more. So once the clouds are exhausted here, the humidity due to artificial seeding and precipitation, downwind there won't be. And Godavari basin is thousands of square kilometers. Cloud seeding doesn't mean that planes come in tankers, add waters, pour the tankers in the cloud and that comes down. Only what's in the clouds only, it will just merely trigger and that's what comes down. Secondly, you can't, as you saw, you can't have vertical columns in thousands of square kilometers. It is impossible, this is an unknown phenomenon. So first of all, how did the foreigners come? And even if the foreigners come in hundreds of planes or 50, 60 planes, and even if they did it won't happen. And where will cloud seed? It happened, I mean, there's a theory, it's happened in Leh or Ladakh. Let's see, in monsoon season, cloudbursts cannot happen in Godavari basin. I'll tell you why. Cloudburst due to topology can happen only here. We have the southwest monsoon, we have there's the Himalayas, there's the Western Ghats or Sahyadri range. So the wind comes from here, the clouds come, hit and rise here. Cloudburst can happen here. That's why Bombay and west coastal cities experience almost every year. There are cloudbursts along this, and this water goes and inundates the western coast of India. So in monsoon season, cloudbursts can happen due to topology only here. The Godavari basin is after this side. Cloudbursts cannot happen here in monsoon. They can't happen because there are no mountain range. They can also not happen because there are no orographic cliffs in monsoons pushing the air up. That's because in monsoon season, Deccan Plateau and the Godavari basin is cool throughout. There's green everywhere, it's cool throughout. There's no desert to heat it up and send it up. So the orographic cliff resulting in cloudburst also cannot happen here. So these are some things, we need to keep in mind. The people unnecessarily should not be diverted. If there's information, we'll be grateful if Telangana CM provides it to the NIA or the Research Analysis Wing or our Home Ministry or the Army Intelligence. And these are the things I think. And it's time that we work together and focus on the solution, not find preposterous reasons for the causes of this. And this is the map of India, and it clearly shows it cannot happen here. So there's something wrong. I would request the CM to explain the reason for this cloudburst theory with a foreign conspiracy behind. Thank you.